the military and on the political front as well.
That's right. We're going to start off with an article in the New York Times. It's quite an exclusive, actually. Now, according to anonymous sources that the New York Times spoke to, two of Gaddafi's sons are trying to offer a plan to push their father out. Now, according to this article, the two of Gaddafi's 7 sons in question are Saif and Saadi el-Gaddafi, who are, so the plan is to push for a transition to a constitutional democracy that would be under the control of Saif. Now, two things are unclear. First of all, it's unclear whether Gaddafi himself is on board. And second of all, the rebels who are fighting Gaddafi have been insisting on a more radical break from his 40 years of rule. What's interesting, though, is this does offer a new window into the dynamics of the Gaddafi family. And we can see that Gaddafi, who has become isolated, is really relying on his sons right now.
Fascinating stuff if it's true, isn't it? New York Times got quite a few interesting pieces today as well, haven't they?
Yes, this is coming back to what we were just seeing in Yemen, how the unrest is continuing. According to this article in the New York Times, the U.S. is shifting its position on Yemen. Now, formerly, Americans have seen President Saleh as a critical and strategic ally in the fight against the Yemeni branch of al-Qaeda. And according to this article in the New York Times, in the past week, U.S. diplomats have been saying very clearly that it's time for Saleh to go.
Now, Ivory Coast, of course, still dominating the papers, particularly here in France, but also internationally as well.
Absolutely. We're going to start with an article in The Guardian and a striking photo which shows these civilians who are raising their hands as they walk past pro-Gbagbo supporters in Abidjan. Now, The Guardian has a first-person account of a resident of Abidjan who's describing just the horrible conditions that residents are going through right now. Now, it's saying that people in Abidjan are holding their breath, that the city is disfigured by war, that there are bodies everywhere. The stench is horrible, so horrible that stray dogs don't even dare approach them. Now, this is a quote. It says that facing starvation, we can no longer stay at home and we have to face this macabre scene, but there's no alternative. It's the only way that they can survive. Now, we're also going to look at an article in L'Observateur Palaga, which is a private newspaper based in Burkina Faso. Now, this is a very pessimistic editorial. It says that the fruit is ripe, but it's going to take a long time to fall. Now, they're talking about Gbagbo. And it says that no mistake should be made. Gbagbo is not going to go easily, and that the battle for Abidjan has just begun. It says the worst could yet be to come, that both sides are so determined, none of them are going to back down, that the fighting is only going to get worse, more atrocious, and it says that whoever wins is going to have the titanic task of reuniting a country that's being torn apart right now.
Okay, one other story that you picked out. This is one of those stories that on a normal weekend will perhaps receive a lot more attention than it has done. The incidents in Afghanistan over the weekend to do with protests, really, about the burning of a Quran in the US.
That's right. So there was this burning of a Quran on March 20th in Florida, which sparked several days of very violent, deadly protests in Afghanistan. Now, we'll see this. There's a picture on the front page of the Wall Street Journal Asia, which shows Afghan protesters beating a burning effigy of U.S. President Barack Obama. Now, there were several very violent incidents, including one on a UN compound in Mazar el-Sharif, where several foreigners were killed. Now, the Wall Street Journal interviews General David Petraeus, who's the commander of the international coalition in Afghanistan, and he says that he condemns the Quran burning in Florida. He says that it came as a surprise, and he deplores the burnings as a hateful, extremely disrespectful, and enormously intolerant act. And he said he warns that such burnings are a danger for the U.S.-led coalition against the Taliban in Afghanistan.
And really briefly, just got time to tell us in Afghanistan, a sad day for brides.
It is a sad day for brides. Now, according to this article in The Guardian, conservative elements of Hamid Karzai's government, they're pushing for restrictions on weddings. Now, originally, this is to keep Afghans from going into severe debt during their weddings. But according to this law, garments contrary to Islamic Sharia law will be banned, and shops that sell outfits that are semi-naked or transparent will be fined and shut. And so, according to this article, this new law really echoes the Taliban era, and that it shows that it's yet another sign of the casual erosion of the small freedom that women have won since 2001.
Florence, thank you very much. No nakedness there. Look at the size of that dress. All right, thank you very much. That's Florence Villeminot with the newspapers there for us. Headlines.